Welcome to this explainer. We're diving right into something kind of fascinating today: the highly structured methodology behind evaluating students in arts education. If you've ever wondered how teachers bring a sense of order and measurable progress to something as wild and boundless as human creativity, well, you're in the right place. Today, we're unpacking a comprehensive framework that shifts our focus from simply praising a pretty picture to genuinely measuring a student's artistic journey. It's a question that challenges educators and parents alike. I mean, think about it for a second. Unlike math or science, art doesn't have a simple, definitive, correct or wrong answer. You literally can't just hand a child an answer key to see if their expression of joy or their dramatic performance hits the exact right notes of human experience. So, how do we evaluate these critical skills without completely crushing the very creativity we're trying to nurture? To answer that, this explainer is going to walk you through a clear roadmap of the assessment framework. We've got 5 sections lined up. First, grading the ungradable. Second, the 5-point assessment scale. Third, formative versus summative assessment. Fourth, shared goals across disciplines. And finally, some real-world assessment examples. Okay, let's jump right into section 1, grading the ungradable. We need to tackle the elephant in the room regarding how art evaluation fundamentally differs from traditional subjects. There is just a massive contrast between traditional assessment and evaluating art. We all know the traditional side, right? Standard tests, question papers, written answers, and a super heavy focus on what's right and what's wrong. But structuring tests with standard question papers completely defeats the purpose of an art curriculum. Instead, arts assessment is inherently skill-based. We have to rely on methods that track a student's unique artistic journey over time. We're talking about using portfolios, conducting performance reviews, evaluating project-based work, and encouraging reflective self-assessments. It's about measuring the messy, beautiful process of exploration just as much as the final masterpiece. So, how do we actually put a number on this qualitative journey? That brings us to section 2, the 5-point assessment scale. The source text gives us this definitive, standardized 5-point scale that teachers can use to score rubrics across all artistic activities. It's a beautifully simple way to translate growth. It starts down at beginning, which gives a numerical score of 1 and a grade of E. Then we move up to developing at a 2 or D, promising at a 3 or C, proficient at a 4 or B, all the way up to excellent, scoring a 5 or an A grade. This structure makes sure that creativity isn't just a vague concept. It actually has defined stepping stones of mastery that everybody can easily understand and track. But, and this is absolutely crucial, we can't stop at just the numbers. These quantitative, numerical scores are always combined with the teacher's qualitative assessments. A rubric might give a student a 4 on using materials, but the teacher's observations capture the rest of the story: the child's behavior, their budding interest, their collaborative spirit, and their overall progress. It fills in the gaps a strict rubric might miss, guaranteeing we get a complete, holistic picture of the child's artistic development. Now that we know how to grade, let's explore when this happens in section 3, formative versus summative assessment. Let's see how this builds a complete evaluation cycle. Think of formative assessment as the continuous journey. It happens in the background based on a teacher's everyday observations in every single class. It's low pressure, highly consistent. Summative assessment, on the other hand, is quite an event. According to the framework, it takes one whole day dedicated entirely to assessment. Materials are gathered, and students are asked to spontaneously create something right on the spot based on a prompt. It tests their ability to synthesize everything they've learned and apply it in real time. This brings us to a really fascinating part of the curriculum in section 4, shared goals across disciplines. You might think painting and singing need totally different grading philosophies, but the framework actually unites them. Whether a student is doing visual arts, music, dance, or theater, the National Curriculum Framework brings all 4 disciplines together under these shared curricular goals, or CGs. CG1 focuses on expressing everyday experiences and collaboration. CG2 is about identifying stereotypes and fostering imagination. CG3 zeroes in on the practical use of materials, tools, and techniques. And CG4 emphasizes the knowledge of local and regional art forms. These shared goals make sure that whether a child is learning local folk songs or identifying gender stereotypes in a play, the core educational purpose stays incredibly consistent. Let's look closer at how those first 2 goals play out. Under CG1 and CG2, a visual arts student might be evaluated on how they connect specific colors to human emotions, while a music student might do the exact same thing, but they're connecting pitch and rhythm to emotions instead.
In theater, students might visualize costumes for characters of all genders in ways like actively challenge standard stereotypes. The medium changes, right? But the core competency of expression and critical imagination remains exactly the same.
Meanwhile, goals 3 and 4 focus on practical execution and cultural knowledge. For CG3, a dance student might be assessed on their technical ability to use spinal bends, while a theater student is graded on creating a shadow puppet. Under CG4, music students might compare North and South Indian classical traditions, while visual arts students recall traditional tools used by local craftspeople. It wonderfully roots their creative expression in both technique and rich cultural heritage.
Theory is great, but let's really ground this in classroom reality. Moving on to Section 5, Real-World Assessment Examples. Let's see what a summative assessment day actually looks like across the different disciplines.
We'll start with visual arts. The prompt might be, what does a kite mean to you? The student's journey involves 4 steps. First, designing a kite in literally any shape. Second, actively choosing materials from their surroundings. Third, decorating it with images that represent happiness to them. And fourth, actually engineering it with a string so it can fly. They're evaluated on their material choices, their problem solving, and later, their ability to discuss their kite with peers. It's comprehensive and it's highly engaging.
For music, educators might play a song. The student then has to identify the predominant emotion, discussing exactly how the pitch, dynamics, and lyrics convey that feeling. Next, they create a simple rhythm pattern using just body percussion. Then comes the collaborative part, a group task where students pick a story and use different songs to bring that narration alive for an audience. They're graded on their emotional connection to the music, their rhythm, and their teamwork.
In theater, the assessment becomes this deeply imaginative process. It starts with a spark. The teacher provides a single emotion, or rasa. From that, the child has to create a character from scratch, give them a name, and narrate 2 entirely different situations for that character experiencing that emotion. Finally, they design the costume and makeup to match. The evaluation looks at their knowledge of emotions, their spontaneity, and their understanding of how to build a whole world around a feeling. And in dance, evaluation looks closely at the imaginative use of the body. A student is asked to show an emotion matching a specific rasa, demonstrate traditional hand gestures known as hastas, and physically coordinate their arms, feet, and spinal bends. For their group task, they have to match rhythm with their peers, collaborate on choreography, and literally converse with each other using those traditional hastas.
I love this quote from the source material because it brilliantly illustrates the core philosophy of this whole framework. Assessments are designed not only to measure progress and mastery, but also to encourage exploration, self-expression, and a deeper appreciation for arts. The true purpose here isn't just administrative measurement or boxing students in. It's about providing enough structure so that educators can actively foster a lifelong love for self-expression in every single child.
I'm going to leave you with this final thought. If we evaluate creativity not by finding the one right answer, but by the depth of a student's exploration, how might this change the way our kids view their own potential? When a child knows their unique perspective is being valued and tracked, rather than just judged against some rigid standard, it changes everything. It's a powerful reminder of how structured evaluation, when done thoughtfully, can actually set a child's imagination totally free. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.